Welcome everybody, it's Adam Parkin, the Codependent Coder, putting together a little video here on Visual Studio Code. So what's Visual Studio Code? Well, it's an open source text editor that's been released by Microsoft and is under very active development. If you ever use Sublime Text, it's very similar. There's a ton of extensions that you can get for it. There's all sorts of really cool features. It is freaking awesome. So I thought I'd throw together a quick little video showing how to install it on a brand new Mac, but with a bit of a wrinkle. So the wrinkle is I've already installed VSCode on my other machine, and I installed a bunch of settings and extensions and set things up exactly just the way I like it. So how do I get all those settings on a new machine without manually going through the same process again? And the answer is there's an extension for that. So I found this cool extension called Settings Sync, and the idea here, hopefully this works. I actually haven't tried it yet. That's what this video is going to be. But the idea of this extension is it takes all your settings from VS Code and syncs them to GitHub as a gist. Gist or gist? Is it gist or gist? I've never understood or been sure about the pronunciation. It's like GIF and GIF. Anyway, so like I said, I already set up VS Code on my other machine, installed this extension, uploaded my settings as a gist with the extension, and if I look at my gists, I can see it here, Visual Studio Code Settings Sync Gist. So if I were to open up that gist, I'd see all my settings as basically just as a bunch of JSON blobs. So the idea is, if you want to set up VS Code on a new machine, you just install VS Code, install this extension, and you're ready to rock and roll. So let's see how well it works. So to start off with, let's download VS Code. Ooh, nice getting started page. Downloading, cool. I'm going to go to my downloads window here. Chugga, 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 chugga. The internet's slow today. So let's open up that zip file. This is the highly, highly complicated installation procedure. Double click a zip file. And then we just take the app, throw in an applications directory, usual Mac thing, and then we'll open it up. And we should see, oh yeah, because it's an application download from the internet, I'm getting this nasty, nasty warning that I might be doing something nasty to my computer. I think we're safe. So let's open it up. Cool beans. There's VS Code. Oh, and it even pops up this nice window. And this is, this is kind of indicative of the fact that this is a product from Microsoft, so the experience is pretty well polished actually. And so you get landed on this nice getting started page. And if you've never used VS Code before, I would actually recommend take the time to just go through some of the intro videos and the tips and tricks and stuff like that. There's a ton of cool stuff that you can find in there, and it's just a great way to get up and running with the editor. I've already used it a bit, so I'm not really interested in that right now. So I'm just going to close this tab and flick back to VS Code. Okay, so now I need to get my Settings Sync extension installed. So how do we do that? Well, you click the little button here to go to the marketplace. I'll just make this window full screen, and you search for the extension you're interested in. And there it is, Settings Sync. Cool. Click the green button to install it. So one of the annoying things about VS Code, one of the few annoying things I've found, is every time you install an extension, you do actually have to click this reload button to enable the extension. And that just restarts VS Code. It's a bit annoying, but it's not too bad. And as you can see, it came back up pretty quickly. So in this case, I'm getting these 3 infos from the extension I just installed. Just a nice little tutorial to get up and started and running. If you click the open tutorial button, you'll land on that page that I showed you at the start, just describing the extension. I'm going to close that. Need help configuring this extension? You can click that, which actually is the same link as the tutorial link, I believe. And again, it's just the overview page. So what do we want to do? I'm not going to go through the process of setting up for the first time. The instructions are here in the page. Basically, it just walks you through how to set up an API token on GitHub so that the extension can actually generate the gist and upload your settings. It's pretty straightforward. Now, one thing to note, if you want to download your settings and set them up on a new machine, you're going to need that same API key that you used in the first place, as well as the ID for the gist itself. If you've lost those, like I did before I tried doing this the first time. You have to regenerate the token, which isn't a big deal. It's pretty painless, and it's something I'm going to have to do after this video anyway, because you're going to see my secret key in the midst of this video. Ooh, secrets. So let's go ahead and do this. So, okay, so the extension's installed. How do I download my settings? Well, the first thing you do is you open up the command palette. Again, if you use Sublime, this will look pretty similar to what you've seen there. The command palette on Windows, on Windows I don't know what the shortcut key is. I'm on a Mac, so it's Command-Shift-P. And then if I type sync, I see all the options related to that extension. And I think the first one we want to do is probably upload settings would be my guess. Oh, it's taking me to the GitHub page just to show. I'm not sure why it takes you to this page, because once you generate the token, you can't actually get the token back from GitHub. If you actually have to regenerate it if you lose it. But anyways, I do have a copy of my token, which I will grab here and quickly paste into here and then hit enter. Oh, you saw it for just a second there. That secret piece of information. Cool. Sync, upload complete, GIST ID, Oop. That's not the GIST I wanted. So I think what I did is I picked the wrong one. So let's reset the extension. Nice thing about this thing is you can reset it if you make a mistake. So download settings. That's what we want. Sorry, I picked the wrong one. So there's my secret key again. That's what I want. Now it's asking me for the GIST ID, which actually, you'll see this. It actually matches. If I open this thing up, this value right here. If I flick back to VSCode, and that should be it, I think. Let's see if it's going to say anything to me. Doesn't look like it. So what happens if we go sync, download settings? Oh, extension 26. Oh, it's installing my extensions. Look at that. Hey, I have 42 extensions. It's the answer. Haha. Okay, so it's going to chug away, install all my extensions. There's a way I can see the status of that. Maybe if I open up the window here. Maybe tasks. That doesn't look like it. So some extensions will actually spit their output into the output window here as a separate tab. You can see the code settings sync one is here. What I'm seeing there is the upload summary, which isn't really what I had in mind. Okay, but my computer's chugging away. Let's see here. If I go to my extensions, I don't see any extensions installed. I'm not really sure what it's doing right now. It's a little strange. Well, still 31 of 42. Guess we gotta wait for them to install. I'm wondering, while it's installing, if I can just show a couple of little tips and tricks. Oh, I can tell it's already downloaded my settings. So if you open up the preferences, you can either do it by code, preferences, settings, or hit the hotkey, which is what I just did there, which is command, comma? I don't know, it's muscle memory for me. I don't even remember what it is anymore. This is the way Visual Studio Code settings are set up. You'll see on the left-hand side here, these are all of the actual built-in default settings. And it's just stored here as a big JSON blob. And the idea is if you want to override any of the defaults, you just copy them, put them over into the right-hand side window here. And you can see I've already done a bunch of preferences myself and set up a few various things. Here's some of those settings related to that settings sync extension. I also use an extension called CodeBucket. It has some preferences there. Pretty cool stuff. Git Lens, which is probably the best extension I've ever found. I'll probably do another video on that just in and of itself because it is just amazing, especially if you are a bit of a Git power user. But the idea is, if you take a setting, you want to override it. So for example, if I want to change my font size to, let's go 119. Let's go 18. If I hit save, suddenly I have 18-point font. Cool. And if I take that back out and save, I go back to the default. Easy peasy. There is also this distinction between user settings and workspace settings. I currently don't have a folder open, so why don't I open up a project here? Group. .files. That's a Git repo. So you get this nice little sort of Explorer view, which is sort of typical. Oh, and I'm getting these pretty icons, which is another extension I have installed. Pretty cool. So that sync settings thing seems to have done the trick. I don't know if it's still going or not. But anyways, so if I open up my preferences window again, you can see now I have this workspace settings. So this is pretty cool. You can actually set up settings on a sort of global per users level or on a workspace by workspace level. And I do use that fairly often. For example, I do a lot of work in Python, and so I do a lot of stuff with virtual environments. So for example, my workspace settings will often have a reference to the virtual environment I'm working on for that workspace. And I'll create a different virtual environment for a different project I'm working on. And I can set that in the workspace settings as opposed to being at a sort of more global level. Pretty handy stuff. And it's pretty seamless. I'm actually quite impressed with how well it works. Under the hood, what it does is it actually stores it in this VSCode directory inside the project itself. And again, it's just JSON. Nothing really too magical here. So I think I have all my settings here. So let's try a couple things. What do I want to open up? Let's maybe open up my bash RC. So, close workspace settings. And maybe I'll open up the README. Yep, so that's another extension I haven't set up on my machine. So this repo I have open right now is my .files collection. So I have a repo on GitHub called .files, and it has all my like bash RC and git config files and all those sort of little settings files I like to have set up on every machine I sit down at, stored in a Git repo. And there's a readme.markdown file at the root of that repository. And this nice extension I have here is a markdown previewer, which is pretty cool. So this is another extension, actually. Oh, man, that really should go. Silly me, forgot to do that. Anyway, okay, so let's do a change. And you can see as I change things in the document, I cannot type automatically. Pretty snazzy. So if I save that, and you can close that preview window if you want. So let's try some of my hotkeys. I can split windows vertically. I can flick between open tabs. With a hotkey. Some of the other another extension I have installed that I mentioned just a second ago is GitLens, and it does this cool stuff. Like it has all this stuff about if you're working in a Git repo, it'll put blame lines on each line of the file, so I can see the version history of that file. It's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, looks like it worked like a charm. So I have all my settings copied from my other machine to this machine, including my theme, which is, of course, extremely important. Look and feel is the most important thing. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you think it was pretty cool, and until next time, peace.